Good morning and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam here on this sunny Saturday because of the Super Bowl, the big game, because the NFL owns the copyright on the word Super Bowl, and apparently it's pretty litigious on that. So because of that, HBO didn't want to put The Last of Us up against it in ratings, which makes sense. While The Last of Us has been doing great, it's going to get trounced by the Super Bowl. And I think that on short notice, changing the date that you're going to release the show is going to do less damage to the ratings than running it against the Super Bowl, even if the streaming ratings have been great, which they have been so far. So what we have is this episode is just heartbreaking. The showing the behemoth, the behemoth was cool, and all of the, the failures of Kansas City as all of the as they keep the infected underground, and then now they're all out, and it's just that city's gone to hell and everyone's dead, and it's just great. I mean, mismanagement always fun. Oh my god, what were the two kids' names? I really should have written it down, because I watched it last night, then I immediately went and watched the movie while playing Hogwarts Legacy the entire time, which is a pretty fun game, don't get me wrong. I'm not, it's pretty fun. It's just, that intro is just fucking long as fuck, and I'm like, I just want to get to the part of the game that's fun. Like, can we just get to that? And it's, whatever. The two kids are great. What the fuck are their names? I don't remember, but they're great. And then, having Ellie have to confront not being able to save someone is an interesting thing for her character, to move it along a little bit and make her have to acknowledge that, what the circumstances are that she's living in. I think that that's an important part of moving her along into, moving the story along to where it has to go by the end. Because we know with it, again, not going to spoil it because because again, haven't played the game, know how the game ends, but I looked it up out of curiosity because I tried playing the game and I couldn't get into it because I don't like stealth games, and I ended up looking it up, so I know how the game ends, so I know how the show ends, but the problem is I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who doesn't. But to get Ellie through and to further cement the relationship between Joel and Ellie, I think you need this to do that. That scene at the end, though, where Joel and Ellie, where Ellie is talking to the kid who's deaf, and she sees that he's bitten, and she tries desperately to save him but can't. And then he turns on her because he's infected, and the brother is forced to kill him. And then the brother realizes what he did, and it's, the whole thing is just so heartbreaking. And then the little funeral, I'm a sucker for funerals and shitty situations, and the emotional gravitas that they can bring. Like, Logan had 2 of them, and it's like, holy shit, this movie is just, I love when they do that in these things. And this little funeral, and her leaving the little note on his grave that says, "I'm sorry." It's I think that it does a lot to kind of not humanize Ellie, because I don't want to say she was not humanized up until this point, but I think the problem is Ellie, as she is in the show, she's a lot more aggressive, which kind of makes sense considering what we know about her in part 2, and I think that it's a great, it's a great progression of the character to have her be kind of the, be what she is in the show, but at the same time, it's I think we still need to have her come down a little bit. And I think there's a difference between having to watch people die because of the circumstances and watch, everything going on, everything going poorly, and all of that. There's a difference between that and her actively trying to save someone's life and family. After getting so close to what their goal was, and to have it fail at the last second like that, or after they've succeeded, essentially, just a heartbreaking episode altogether. And I think that's where the show kind of works very well. Is these episodes that are, just constantly tinged with sadness as they interact with more and more people across the wasteland. I keep calling it the wasteland. I don't think that's the actual term. I call it the wasteland just because that's what it's called in Fallout 2 as well. Fallout as well, not Fallout 2 as well. And I think that's what they call it in Walking Dead as well. I only ever watched like 6 episodes of Walking Dead and I fell off, but here we are. So I'm really enjoying the show. I think the show is doing everything it needs to kind of carry itself and get us from point A to point B, and you're doing a lot of cutting, because the game's like 40 hours and you're cutting it down to 10, or a little over 10, with some episodes going over an hour. I mean, they're doing what they need to get from the start of the story to the end. I think they're doing it very well. The next episode is going to bring back Tommy, and that's pretty cool. I'm interested to see where they go with that story and how. Because again, don't know any of this. A lot of this is uncharted territory. I just know the beginning and the end of this show. So as we go through, it's like, oh, this is really cool. This is and really what this is kind of is Joel and Ellie happening upon little vignettes from across the wasteland. And I think that's what kind of makes the show work. Is it's Joel and Ellie go to various places. They encounter some people who are, like, what's it called? They're like, they're in a fucked up situation, and then we find out what happened, with them, and it's like, that's what this was, and we're not going to see any people again. They've moved past this. They're into the next, into the next part of their journey, and I think it's actually a really interesting way to tell a zombie story. It's kind of an anthology in that way, but it's strung together through Joel and Ellie intersecting with all these people's lives, and I think that's the most interesting way to tell a post-apocalyptic story, and I think it does a very good job of that here. And I'm looking forward to where it goes in the next episode. I want to see how that kind of, carries on as we go forward. But we'll wrap up there for today. So tomorrow morning we'll be talking about about the final 2 episodes of National Treasure. Next week we have a discussion of Ant-Man that me and Josie did. It's Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Nintendo Direct, and my thoughts on covering Hogwarts Legacy. And we have an episode about Empire Strikes Back that me and Josie did also last night, and we'll be talking about all of those. So we'll wrap up there. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.